Okay, here I am. I've come into the administration building of Yehiam, and I'm going to meet the community manager, whose name is, hello, my name is Idan Raz.
Nice to meet you.
And what's your name?
Idan Raz.
Idan.
Yes.
Okay, this is his community, the community manager. Here you have a shot, an aerial shot of the kibbutz. And then you have another aerial shot of the kibbutz, and it's a very nice, well-organized office. And here is a painting of the Yehiam fortress.
Yeah, the man who painted is Rafi Levin. It's my grandfather. He's not with us anymore, but he was from the group that established the kibbutz.
In which year was that?
46.
I see.
He's from the first group. They already got together in 46 in Kiryat Chaim and waited to get a point of to go and build the kibbutz.
Okay, well, this morning the first person to be interviewed was Rina. So she has told us the whole story. So let's sit down, and I would very much like to talk to you about how you organize this kibbutz, your job as a community manager. Okay, Idan, how old are you?
I'm 43.
Yes.
Married to Elia. She's from kibbutz Mayan Tzvi.
Okay.
On the Carmel. We have two children, Gilboa. Gilboa is 6, and Naomi, she's 3 years old. We live here in the kibbutz. I was born here. Most of my life I was living in Yehiam. Few years I was traveling, studying, and doing other stuff in other parts of the world, and a little bit in Israel. I'm starting now the 7th year of being the community manager.
7 years you've been in the job?
I'm finishing this number 6 and starting 7.
I see. Normally the central roles in the kibbutzim nowadays are about 4 years.
Yeah.
So you're into an extended period.
Yeah. For my luck, I have a very lovely community that I really love. The community and the kibbutz is a place to live, but also the people. And like when you have a family that you love each other, you're staying, you don't go. So people ask me to stay more, and I stayed more.
So they like you, but they love you.
Yeah.
And you're successful.
Yeah, this is how I feel. Not everybody, of course, but mostly, I think. We're doing a great job. It's a community that now 780 people.
Is that 780 members or total population?
Total population. Adults and children. 330 children from birth to 18. We are growing up every year. We're getting at least 5 more families to be a kibbutz members. We're working in a model of kibbutz mitchadesh.
The renewed kibbutz or the reformed kibbutz?
The reformed kibbutz. The members in Yehiam, the new members, we are independent economical members. We have community service that are shared and together as a normal kibbutz, and all the education from kindergartens and after school time and vacation and everything that most of the kibbutzim have those systems. This is the biggest system of the community that we hold in workers and how much it costs, and in the volume of what we are doing. Most of the community is around children and families. We are doing all the holidays, all the ceremonies, and more. I say all, but it's not only the traditional ones, it's extend.
Okay, so let me ask you, when did you make the move to reform the kibbutz? What year did you make the change?
The first big change was in the year 2000. The end of 2000 we signed, or maybe if it's the early 2001.
Okay, now, why did you make the change?
It's a good question, first of all.
I go very deeply and I ask the questions.
And I will answer as my knowledge, and I will answer direct. As I see it now, not as like I was seeing it at the time.
23 years ago.
Yeah. Now I know for sure the things that moves Kibbutz Yehiam towards Afrata.
The privatization.
The privatization.
Now, before we go any further, I call it the reformed kibbutz. Many people talk about privatization when in fact they mean the two sides, both the salarization where people get money for the jobs and the ownership of communal assets, houses, etc. So is this kibbutz fully reformed with privatization?
Yes. This is what I wanted to say. If I had English like you, I could explain it like you, but I will explain it in my
Your English is very good, and I can say that from a professional point of view, from being an ex-English teacher.
And this is, we need to say thanks to two kinds of people. One, my grandmother, Miriam, that came from Cairo.
Cairo?
Yeah, but she had English as a mother language.
Yes.
And she taught all our family English, so we can speak normally, at least. And the other kind of people are the volunteers from the female side. So
okay, so the volunteers, who came here during the 1970s, 80s.
No, I was young.
Oh, I see.
But the volunteers, especially that came from 95.
Yes.
94, I was a little bit young, but I started to speak with them. I was working in the bananas, in the fields. And then of course. And we had long hair and blue eyes. And we usually walk without shirt, you know. We did
it was a really strong motivating factor to go and work in the bananas with these foreign volunteer women.
Women and men.
But you know, who looked at the men? We looked at the girls.
Yeah, that's true. So we had a good time to speak with foreigners English and to later.
Okay, so now let's skip forward.
We privatized and reformed the kibbutz. If you say,
just one moment, let me interrupt you. While we mention the volunteers, do you still have volunteers here now?
We have Israeli volunteers.
Okay, all right, we'll go back to what we were talking about, the reformed kibbutz.
And we have, I call it, we have members that used to be volunteers.
Yes, sir.
The reform, this is the correct thing to say about it, I think. In my point of view from now, it happened in a negative situation. Middle of the 80s, a big economical crisis after first Lebanon war, hit very strongly the economical breakdown, the kibbutzim and moshavim, especially near the Lebanon border, or this is how we felt it. What happened, it started, and we are fully kibbutz in that time, fully cooperation. Families starting to leave the kibbutz, and since 85 to 95, 50 families left Yehiam.
So how many people or members were left behind?
From 150 families, in 95, 96, we left here 100. It's a lot. And it was
the age of those who were left behind, I'm going to presume, were the older members.
Older members, yeah. Not enough families with children, and it made a snowball that create himself. People
did you close down the baby house and the kindergartens?
Slowly, all the system were starting to shut down. First to be hit, I think, was the culture. Second was education, children, all the system. All the community systems started to shut down because there was no need. And in the same time, there was no money. Me, that was a youth that time, really enjoyed it. It was, the 90s was the best time to live in the kibbutz. Everything was really, it was a paradise for youth. The kibbutz was weak. We could do anything that we want. Our parents didn't know actually what we are doing.
Were you living at home then, or in children's houses?
No, still in children's houses. So it was a time, in Hebrew we say Arafel HaMilchama.
Yes, the fog of war.
It was like in the fog of war.
You could wander around and do things that your parents didn't even think about.
Yeah, and no, it was wonderful to be a youth. But the economical breakdown didn't stop and getting worse and worse. And then the government, I think after the government of Rabin, told the banks, went to the banks and say, we have a problem. Guys, we have problems. The kibbutzim, we have around 250, around 200 of them are not in a situation they can recover by themselves. They need to do reforms. The banks say, okay, we will cut or take down the chovot.
We'll leave the debts and put them on the side, let's say, or even forget about the debts.
Forget or make them smaller, or we'll take we can work with it, but the kibbutzim need to do something inside. They need to do reform. They need to change themselves from the inside. The kibbutz member, the common kibbutz member, thought it's because of him, that he wants to be more free.
Because of Yitzhak Rabin.
No, he thought it's because the member thought it's because it's himself. The members thought they are looking for the revolution, but actually it was something from the outside.
The banks forced the kibbutzim to make a change.
Yeah, this was the money forced the banks to force, and the money is the king.
Let me ask you a question directly. Do you know how much Yehiam owed the banks at that time? Any idea? Plus, minus?
Plus, minus, I think between 70 million to 100 million. Around.
Yeah. So there was no way you could repay that because maybe you were just paying back the interest.
And here we come, we paid. We paid, but we needed to pay to getting the chance to pay. We needed to do the reforms. It took us 6 years.
6 years to reform or 6 years to repay?
6 years to reform and another 13 years to pay.
I see.
And in 2000, and we signed the agreement with the banks in 2000, in the end of the year 2000, and we started to cellularize the kibbutz, to privatize the kibbutz, and the kibbutz changed its way of living from a full cooperative to less cooperative, but in the soul of Yehiam. And in the hardcore of Yehiam, Yehiam is a very, very, very kibbutz.
Okay, well now...
Also in the systems. We didn't privatize the education, we didn't privatize the health and the healthcare. The things that in the heart of the kibbutz or in the seed,
yes,
we didn't change. And the character of the kibbutz didn't change. The way of living changed a lot. And for the youth that come after me was a bad luck. Also, no volunteers since 2002. Since 2002, there is no volunteers. But we brought over the years Garin Tzabar that are coming.
Okay, now a reinforcement group from an Israeli youth movement, or the army.
Yeah, now it's we have Mechina Kedam Tzvait. Preparing to the army.
There is a preparatory course for young people before going into the army. Okay.
And a small community of 5 guys and 5 girls that coming also to volunteer, Israeli that come to volunteer. They live in Yehiam and they are volunteering in kibbutzim nearby. And
all right, well, now let me just focus in on 1 or 2 things. You say that even with the changes, the kibbutz still maintains itself as a community in its heart and soul. And there are people in different kibbutzim who say after the change, we are no longer a kibbutz. They say, you know, we've made such big changes. I have a good friend in another kibbutz, and I know there is a critic here in this kibbutz because I read your last journal from June. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention his name, a very old guy. His name begins with Yud.
Yeah, I know, Yoash.
Okay, so his name is Yoash, and he says that we've already crossed the red line in the reformation of the kibbutz. And basically we're heading towards being some type of a community which is no longer a kibbutz. What is your reply to this type of criticism?
First of all, it's hard to hear that people that think or feelings that we are not a kibbutz. Because I think a kibbutz, it's not the way if we are eating together in a dining room or we have a sharing community pub. Kibbutz, in the deep meaning of it, it's arvut adadit, ezra adadit.
Mutual assistance and help.
התנדבותית, volunteering.
Volunteering and looking after each other and looking to help the community.
It's your own community. And in this, it's not something that you see on the ground all the time. But all the elderly people in Yehiam, doesn't matter what status they are here, if they are a kibbutz member, parents of a kibbutz member, whatever, we are surrounding them with healthcare in a very high quality, and more than the quality of the services, it's from the heart. It's something really authentic. It's not that I'm saying, and when I will answer the person that you say, I will answer him that this is what we, the young people, or the younger people, looking for. What used to be a kibbutz, called a kibbutz, 2 days, I don't know, 1 year after Dgania Aleph was established, was a known kibbutz talk, what will be the kibbutz later. So this is something that all the time going with us as building criticism and in the evolution of the kibbutz movement. The kibbutz movement...
So you've mentioned a very important word here, evolution.
Yeah. We are working in evolution. Maybe the elder or the old generation of 48 or the 50s, there was more revolutions, people.
I see.
But we need to look at the kibbutz going evolutions. And in going evolutions with the trends of the world. If Margaret Thatcher started a trend in the UK, later it came to the US, and then it came to other parts of Europe. In Israel, it appeared after in Rabin's government, privatization. Later it came to all society, also the kibbutz. The kibbutz is a part of the general society. He maybe wanted, we are maybe want to be disconnect from the rest of the society, but actually we are very the same part of society that lives in villages. Kibbutz is a village, first of all, is a Zionic village in Israel. The meanings of it is to hold land for the Zionist movement. We are part of bigger movement than the movement of the Noah Kibbutzit, of the
kibbutz movement.
And if we will lose this meaning, if we won't do this, we won't be allowed to be called a kibbutz, because this is how we...
So you're saying that a kibbutz, to remain a kibbutz, even with the changes, has to be based on the land, as I understand you.
Yeah.
Okay, even though I know that very few kibbutz members work in agriculture in Yehiam.
That's true, but I will give you an answer. I knew that I'm working also as a manager of the chicken farm in the kibbutz, also in the agriculture. I have a few...
You were manager in the past?
I'm
still now?
Still now, no.
You're both community manager and the chicken manager?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm working in 2 jobs in the same time.
I hope you get good pay. I won't go into that.
No, but this shows that the agriculture cannot pay a normal salary these days. It cannot hold a family this way. So Yehiam especially, that I'm leading in that part, we are looking how to make the change or still make the Zionist things, and I'm not shy to see Zionist things. People don't talk about what I'm doing.
Well,
what we are doing
because of circumstances abroad in the United Nations, let's forget it.
Yeah, but
Zionism is Jewish nationalism.
Yes. So if we cannot only work on land and agriculture, but we need to find other solutions, other things to do for the nation. And what we are doing in Yehiam, we have four things that we are doing, not for the community and outside. We are doing it home, but we're doing it to the general Israeli society.
So give me examples.
I gave 2 examples already. One is the program to prepare youth to the army.
Yes.
Coming to 6 months, 42 people from all around the country to Yehiam, getting education, getting tours. It's under the Chalutz. Chalutz, they are the
pioneering youth movements.
Yeah, that hold it. The other is the small commune that 10 guys from all the country came to volunteer in the area. The 2 big things, this is the small things. They are big, but they are the small. The 2 big things that we are doing, we will start with the thing that we are, now it's the 7 year that we have hostels. We have 2 hostels in Yehiam of healthcare, and they have a center of small jobs, works for the day.
Yes.
There is here, I think, 30 adults the hostel is shared, managing Jewish and Arabs together, from the neighbors from the village Tarshicha and Kfar Vradim, the owners of the hostels, and with us, and they are staying here, and it's working.
So let me ask you again about the hostel. What type of work or aim? What is the aim of the hostel? And who are you've mentioned Jews and Arabs from the district here. Are these people who are in any way disadvantaged or?
Yeah, the people that coming here are, and maybe if you will go, you can take. They will let you to take pictures. It's something unusual. We are the pioneers. The pilot is in Yehiam. It's called Bait Lachaim, House for Life.
Yes.
It's not an elderly hostel. It's elderly. Yes. It's 55 plus, with a lower cognition.
A certain amount of lower, I don't know,
capabilities.
Okay.
A few of them born like this. Others had problems in life, health, and
personal, emotional, maybe semi-physical problems.
Yeah, but they're all independent. We have doctors and nurses and social workers and
a fully professional staff.
Fully professional staff. They're coming from all around the country. We have here now people from 9 kibbutzim also that they cannot get this treatment in their own kibbutz, so they came to live here, and they will live actually, if they will want, until the end of life. It's a small community in the community. This is
how is this hostel system funded? Who pays for this?
We're going back to reforms.
Okay.
Here, the government privatized the healthcare in Israel. So when they privatized, there's private companies that came and started to get money from the government to operate it. We're working with a group that the managing, the owners there is Jewish and Arabs in the ownership, called Kesher.
Connect or?
Connect, yeah, yes. or not, maybe not.
Okay.
Because it's the symbol is also linked.
It's like LinkedIn.
Yeah, or connection, and they got 43 different houses, different situation of people in all around the north of Israel.
Okay, well, let me just stop you for a minute. You've touched on two very important issues. One is cooperation between Jews and Arabs, and the other one, there's been the question in many kibbutzim. They ask, well, you know, kibbutzim were established originally with the aim of defense and security, which happened here in Yehiam, particularly when it was started. And people say, well, nowadays, what is the role of kibbutzim? Do kibbutzim have a role to play outside of their own existence?
So I prepared. I didn't know that you're gonna come and follow me. So I prepared an answer, and in March 2002, we got to Yehiam 19 families from Ukraine and Russia. 2022. 2022, sorry.
Because of the war in Ukraine.
Yeah. The war started in Ukraine. I read in Twitter, there is a war. I organized with my lovely and partners here, the Chairman Yaron and other people that works here in Yehiam. We had advantage here. We had place to accommodations for them, and the community volunteered to help to prepare, and we got here 65 people that came, and more than half still here lives, and we're gonna get another 6 families in this August. So
now,
this is the meaning of doing outside of your own community. Help other people in situation maybe not I was, but my grandfather was. My grandmother came as an immigrant, as a Ole Chadash. My father came, and others. And
well, where did they come from?
My mother and my grandmother and my mother as a child, they came from Egypt. We are family, the roots came from Tzfat. Before we from Russia and Moldova to Tzfat, 2 generations. Then they went down to Egypt, 2 generations, and came back to Israel. This is my mother's side. My father's side, my father was born in Bogota, Colombia. His mother, she's from Bogota, from Colombia. She's Colombian. And my grandfather came from Poland.
Wow. All points north, east, south, and west. Yes. From the diaspora. Now let me ask you about the Ukrainians who've just come in there now. Are they all Jewish?
They're all, yeah. We consider everybody that passed the Sochnut HaYehudit as
the Jewish agency.
Jewish agency as a Jew. We don't check.
Okay.
But
if they say they're a Jew, they're a Jew.
If they say they are Jew, they're a Jew. It's doesn't concern me as a person, but we are still building the Jewish state like this. This is, I think, the impact that kibbutz or a small community can do in the Israeli society that have a lot of problems, and no one. Imagine yourself coming now from a situation of war or situation of coming from Russia. Doesn't matter if it's from Ukraine. Maybe you just run from Putin and his regime. So you get into Israel, you don't know nothing. You get to Ben Gurion airport looking, and now there is these quiet places they call kibbutzim. There is nice people that waiting for you, speaking with you, helping you. They know how to do ערבות הדדית and עזרה הדדית in a very high level.
Mutual assistance and help.
And when you are doing it every day for all your life, it doesn't matter who is coming. So you know how to adapt yourself and help them, and they will be very good citizens to Israel. And they all already are. All of them are working. All the children are studying. One child next year will go to the army already because he will be 19. Because Ole Chadash is not going in 18, he will go in 19. And we are seeing a very good success, very hard work, very difficult for the people. Also for the community, it wasn't so easy, it's not easy.
Well, what type of work do the adults have?
What kind of jobs they are working?
Are they working in professions or?
Yes.
Yes.
A few of them working in profession, a few of them working in very simple jobs, a few of them are already independent, doing fixing houses, cleaning. There is one in high tech, there is in our kindergartens, in other places in education. Carpenter. When we are getting a person into Israel by the system in this program, it's called Bayit Rishon B'Moled, the first house.
First home in Israel.
And especially when they come from a war, or not war, but a situation that they needed to live
refugee.
As a refugee. So we find out there is more things that you need to do. So we put them mentors also in their own language, to prepare them also to the life. in Israel and to understand how fast they need to get into work, to jobs, and how to do it. It's not easy to know, but until now it's a big success. I hope we will keep going and doing the same things. I don't know about the volume that we can take, but 6 families,
all
5
right.
families, it's good.
Now, you here as a community manager, it must be a very difficult job, very complex, dealing with people from all different backgrounds with different attitudes and everything else. Can you tell us what you would like to tell us about doing your job, and what are the challenges in your job, and how do you feel about the people who work and live here and the feedback? So please give me a few details of your job definition and what you face in dealing with this job and everything else.
It's
a big question.
It's a big question. First of all, my job, I think, is to manage, to be a direct manager of a few branches: the education, the culture, security, municipality services, gardening, mail service, all kind of services. And in the same time, I'm also a coordinator of to the municipality,
yes,
to the kibbutz business side. Mm-hmm. I need to coordinate a lot of things to make the things happen. And this is very complicated, and it's very complicated to the common person to understand what I'm actually doing, because I'm just going to speak with them, and I just speak with him, and I need to make the connection and to close the circle, as we say, for the things to get to the ground and happening. It's hard. It's a position that you are feeling, you are not alone, but you are feeling quite alone, getting חשוף,
to get
חשוף, I mean,
exposed.
I'm very exposed to criticism from my friends, from my neighbors, from everybody in the community. I live in my kibbutz. I'm going to with my kids to kindergarten in the morning. I meet in the market, in the supermarket.
Yeah, 24/7.
I'm going to the swimming pool. The criticism is always walking next to me, in my left side, sometimes in my right side, something over my shoulder, sometimes next to my shoulder. But it's like you can imagine that I'm walking and I feel it. That I did something that was good for one person didn't like the idea or didn't want it to happen, but it happened. So
okay, so you're in a position
with a smile. I feel with a smile, in a good conversation, you can explain, and I'm always checking myself and my doing, if it's erki, if it's immoral, if it's in my standards, before I'm doing it. If it's not because it's easy to do, not because it's make my life more easy. If it's the right thing to do, we will do it. We will get supported from the
okay. So as a community manager living in a community 24/7 in a kibbutz, it's not a matter of you go to work in the morning, you go home, and that's it. You're also exposed to criticism, and you may have the hours that have been defined for your job, but you can be stopped on the pathways of a kibbutz and people will carry on talking to you about your job. So how do you manage to work out a schedule for this, together with the fact that you're also working in charge of the chicken branch?
The chicken branch is the easy part.
Is the easy part, I see, okay. So the other animals, let's call them, in the kibbutz, are the hard part.
The hard part.
Okay.
Yeah, as I said, first of all, I'm already quite experienced. I did a few things before I came to this position in the community. I prepared myself well to get to this position. Second, it's not all the time easy. It's hard, it's difficult. It's another half an hour on that pathway, to explain, to talk. But I knew it's part of the job. I see it normally. If I cannot speak with someone right now, I'll tell him, okay, I need to go and I will call you later.
All right.
And I'm leaving it with...
Let me ask you, are you a family man, married, children?
Yeah, I told in the beginning, I'm married with 2 kids.
Okay.
Gilboa is 6,
so,
Naomi is 3.
Let me ask you, how does your wife view your 24/7 job?
Yeah, I promised her I promised her when I started it will last only 2 years. Don't worry, no one survived.
Okay.
Because really, no one survived more than 2 years before. Never.
So, well,
3 years, 4 years. It's
kibbutz is special, and the special kibbutz generates special people.
Yeah.
So there you are. I don't want to embarrass you,
no.
But you sound to me very special.
Yeah.
You really do. Okay. So let me just ask you about your job. Do you ever find a time whereby you have to make a very difficult decision for somebody else, and maybe they object to your decision, or are all decisions a matter of negotiation, or do you have the backing of a committee or anything else?
No, of course, we have the back of the committee. All the major decisions, we are doing a decision committee.
Yes, committees.
If need more than that, we're going to kibbutz, kibbutz, to a kibbutz meeting to discuss on that matter, and in the end we have a vote, anonymous vote. If all the community, or 51% of the community, vote against or not against, and the decision
all right.
passed.
So in a community like kibbutz, I mean, generally there are things that happen. For example, you have rules regarding how people look after their pets and their dogs, and whether they walk around, and whether they have pooper-scoopers. All right. You have issues like, for example, where people park their cars, and whether people park the cars in the parking areas around the kibbutz. And then you say you have a vote, and sometimes people don't accept the decision of the community of the vote. How do you deal with exceptions to the rule?
Sometimes, most of the times actually, there is a solution to all big problems. We can find a very simple solution.
Okay.
So I will look, my friends we will look for a solution that will fit to that person. So if you say about a parking spot, let's say, and there is a parking spot, and the specific person don't have the parking spot in the specific place that he wanted. So we will look for a solution for him by himself. We won't open the discussion again and again and again. We will find the solution. If we didn't succeed in that, we will look how to speak in it, to explain it. This is the situation. But I think in the end we can find solution almost to all problems.
I see.
If we discuss it and we are making it logical and
so it's very much a personal and a matter of talking to the people. I know, for example, in my kibbutz we have a big problem with parking of cars. In our kibbutz, I think we have more than 1,000 vehicles, 1,000 cars, and we have designated parking areas. But for me, my neighbor, across the way from me, 50 meters from me, he parks, no, sorry, he doesn't park his car. His mother comes and parks the car, and I've talked to him, and he says to me, well, you know, you're breaking up good neighborly relations. And it is the law in our kibbutz that you should park not on the lawns, and if you don't, a recent decision was in fact for a certain group of committee to go around and put posters on the windscreens saying you are not allowed to park here. So this is happening in quite a few kibbutzim. Without, in town, you'll have, what do they call it, a boot put on the wheels. You can't do that in kibbutz.
Yeah. So if there is something that is making a security measures, so we put letters, don't park here, it's a public road, or it's a pathway, and things like this. But normally we can find solutions. In Yehiam we know how to do it. If you want, I'm coming to Givat Chaim Miuchad for 1 week, and we will find solutions to all the parking problems, to all the dog problems, and it won't cost a lot.
I'll get together with our community manager and our economic manager. They are both good friends of mine.
But I want to ride on the horses of Iftach.
What?
The horses, it's in Meuchad?
In Meuchad, yes.
Iftach. There is a ranch.
Ah, okay. In the Ichud Yiftach, Levron.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So.
All right. I think I've finished my questions, and I want to wish you good luck.
Thank you very much.
Because it's a very tough job you got.
I hope I did this interview a little bit funny, a little bit interesting, and I'm already waiting to see it.
All right, well, thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you.
Okay.
University, and I fell in love with the place, I fell in love with the girl, I fell in love with the kibbutz, and I fell in love with the country.
And you fell